Okay, YouTube, this is part 2 of the 1984 Honda Goldwing 1200 engine removal without the intake manifolds or the carburetors removed. Let's take a look real quick. Everything is tied up out of the way. The old stator wire is going to come out with the engine. Same thing with the ground wire. We have the bolts of the intake manifold removed. We have the radiator and the timing covers removed. Come over on this side, we have the fuel pump tied up. I've taken a look under the whole intake here. Nothing is attached to the engine block here at all. So now I'm ready to take out these 3 bolts. This one bolt here, this bolt in the front, one up on the top, and the vice versa on the other side, except for this bolt. This one on the other side is already taken out earlier. Alright, so now without further ado, let's do a engine pull out of a 1984 Honda Goldwing 1200. First, I saved the Banjo bolt for last, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the Banjo bolt. I've got a peanut can, which is a good size if the oil wants to drain out of that, out of the reservoir. That's fine and dandy. The nut is a 10mm nut, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the Banjo bolt. The Banjo bolt is disconnected, and also to make sure you maintain your washer and try not to lose this bolt because it's got the hole in it where it feeds the clutch. And I have it pulled up and out of the way, and this is disconnected from here. Alright, and you can kind of see the Banjo bolt where it goes into is right here. It drained a little fluid, but not enough to worry about anything. You kind of see that's about all the fluid that came out of it. So now with it being tied up, I'm gonna wrap a rag around it just in case it's draining from out of the reservoir. Now I'm taking out the lower bolt, but here's a FYI. This is a 17mm socket to fit this end, which is the bolt end, but the nut end, let me tell you, I don't know how in the world you can't get a wrench in it. I've tried everything in the world to get this 19mm wrench up in there, and there's no way to, well, I didn't mean to say no way, but it's hard to find a place to detach it. But what I had to do, I had to go up here at the top like this and almost like wedge it so it'll hold on while I took the socket and turned it, and the nut broke loose. So FYI, put your nut on this end, put your bolt on this end. Also, again, notice that I do have the engine supported, and it do have some pressure on the bottom of the rotor, because now you can kind of see the lower pin slides right out. Now moving on to the next bolt. Now there was a choice either to get this bolt next or do the one that's right up on the top of the motor here. I'm gonna wind up and go ahead and get this one because it's gonna send all the tension downward if it's any on there, and then the lower bolt should come out with no problem. Alright, so now I'm up here at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and take this one out, and then I'll move over to the other side and take that bolt out. FYI again, have a long extension that will be a little bit longer than what I have, because I'm dealing with a close ratio of turn here because I don't have another long enough extension. On the upper engine bolt, the right side was easy to get to. It wasn't too bad, but on the left side, you can kind of see it's a little bit clustered here. You got to start cutting some twist ties, like this twist tie here, to move some of these wires around so you can get down in there to that bolt. You may have to disconnect a hose or two, but all bikes may be different or they may be wired the same, but this is one issue where I'm catching the trouble right now. I've taken, I guess this is a blinker solenoid. I took that loose from right here, and then I had to take the fuse box out so I can get some slack here. So it's right down in that area. Here's where that bolt is, and I'm trying to catch a hard time getting in there to it. Just to keep kind of updated, had to go through the process of actually taking the air cleaner out, and I'm gonna get ready to take these 4 bolts out on the air cleaner so I can get to that bolt right. It's right on the side right there, and maybe I can push a couple of these. This look like the speedometer cable or something, or the throttle cable, I'm sorry, out of the way, and I could get easy access to get it either with a wrench or a socket. I know it looked easier when Steve did it, but Steve didn't show you the difficult part of getting to it. Alright. As you can see by me taking the air cleaner out and the tub out, look right there. But come on in, where you at? Right there. There's the bolt right there. And either I can pull it, the cords off to the right and get it from up at the top. Again, there it is right there. So FYI, so you may have to take the air cleaner and the tub out to get access to that left upper bolt. To let you actually see it, I did use my ratchet, and I did find me another shorter extension, and then I can get the bolt right from the top. You can see there's a close proximity to the frame and these hoses here, so be careful. And now I'm going to remove the front right hand bolt and the left hand bolt, which is right behind that rag. And then after I finish that, then I complete with all the bolts, and I'm going to remove this plate. And here you go, as you go along, you run into more problems. Now this plate here, it don't want to come out unless I take the thermostat out. I know I called the other one down there below the thermostat, which was the water pump, but I've got to take the thermostat cover out in order for me to get this plate out. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to take the thermostat cover and take the thermostat off and place it in the box, and then I can take this plate off, and then I can move on to the last 6 bolts in the back. Now, since the thermostat has been removed, it gave me a little leeway to wind up and get this curved piece over the housing for the thermostat, and I could come down, and also too, the A bracket comes right along with it. So I'm going to keep these two together just like this. Come on, get in there. And I'm going to put it back into the box just like this. Now I'm at the last 3 bolts, and before we deal with these last 3 bolts and nuts, I want to make sure perfectly clear that you do have the engine supported with a jack, which I do. Here's a 14mm and these two are 12. The nuts on the other side, but I'm gonna go ahead and break it from here and see if it'll break loose from there, and then I'm gonna take these 2 out, and then I'm gonna do vice versa to the other side. The nut is here on the right side, so I'm gonna loosen the nut up some. Only thing I'm wondering here, since these are the last 3 nuts and bolts, that may have to make sure I got enough tension left on the bike. So I might have to go ahead and jack the bike up just a bit to kind of see how the play is between this and the carburetors. But I do see a little gap between the carburetors, so I'm going to jack it up a little bit. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to jack it up a little bit, make sure I get a little play here, and then I'm going to go ahead and drive this bolt through after I take the nut off, and then take these last two, and then go to the other side and then do the left side. Well, YouTube, I am stuck in a dilemma. I've got the engine that far halfway out, and I can't get it to come out any further. None of the engine block is touching anything, but I think that the pulse engine is touching something in the bag. I've taken that left pulley off, but what I did, I might have waited too late to take that pulley off. I should have took it off early. And you can see the shaft is touching the frame, and the pulley wheel, the adjustment wheel here, sometimes it touches this, and I'm almost at a stand of where do I stand from here. You kind of see it's way beyond inside. Now what I did here is I think that I have a trouble here with the shaft, and this is where I talked it over with a few of my friends, and they said this is why mine went wrong. I should have pulled the engine straight forward and let this shaft drop. About this much more of the shaft is inside the drive shaft, the engine shaft. There's that much is still left in there. And then after the shaft drive, then I can push it back and then slide it out. So that's what I'm gonna try again today. I'm gonna try to put it back where it was, and then go back through the front, pull it forward, and let the shaft drop, and then go from there. I did get the shaft to disconnect from the output shaft from the motor to disconnect from the drive shaft, and I do have the joint here. And notice that I remembered how I got it out of there, and what I did, I put the word top right on top of here, so when I get ready to put the joint back up in there, I know that this piece here is going to be up on the top. Alright, that was the biggest part of how much of that output shaft was sticking into that joint. So now I'll write that down. I'll probably measure it just to make sure that I can put it on the video on how long it was in there, so how you'll know how long it's up in there. Now, since I have it here, I've got to push it back far enough so it can clear here, and it's almost about ready to be dragged out. Again, notice here I'm doing this by myself. Looking at the pulse generator in the rear, that's trying to fit to the back, and then this pulley here is kind of high. I think I might jack it up a little bit and try to get it to rise up in the front so to give us some slack in the back. So let me try that. Alright, I finally did get it out. I say I had a pallet jack and a normal motorcycle jack. Let me tell you, this is not one task I would want to have to ever do again. I would hire somebody to help me with this one. So here's the engines out. Now I guess get ready to put it back in. It's really gonna be a beast. And but this is again, this is a task I do not ever want to have to do again. Just getting the motor out. Just to give you an overview of the underside, again, here's all the intake with the carburetor still intact, the intake manifolds, all the other intake items that was tied up, it all stayed in place. Now, one thing I did do was I did take these intakes and I rolled them over, and that gave me a little bit more extra room. And I did this to the left and the right side. Again, all the other equipment stayed intact. Now, what I did do, I went and go get my truck jack again and my jack stands, and I jacked the center stand legs up off the ground a bit, and that helped with a little bit of height as well. Again, like I say, while I got the engine down on the ground, I'll probably put it on the jack it up a little bit, and I'm going to drain the oil, because I don't want to drain the oil leaning to the front and have oil going in the places where oil shouldn't be going. So when I get ready to fire back up later, I don't have a cloud of smoke. So I'm going to drain the oil and take that oil filter off, and then I'm going to set it on the jack stand on here with some dunnage here, so it don't be messing with here nor the gear down there. Alright, so this is what I made with the engine out. Next phase is to flip it upside down and take the old stator out. Well, it's a new stator. I just gonna change it because I believe it's burnt for some reason.